How's it going, guys? So, we're going to talk a little bit about CFIT, and we already know kind of a little bit about what CFIT is, right? Controlled flight into terrain, and it's when an airworthiness aircraft is flown under positive control of the aircraft, and that aircraft is flown into terrain or an obstacle due to inadequate awareness on the part of the pilot. And just a few kind of examples of, common things that can happen from CFIT, or factors that are all considered CFIT, right? Is just pretty much failure to review the data for that flight. So any information related to that, as far as pre-flight planning, um, uh, not leveling off correctly, so descending uh, lower than what you actually should, mismanagement of fuel, so fuel starvation, right? So you run out of fuel and end up having to land, especially if you're in IMC conditions, right? You can't really do too much about that. Misjudgment about speed or distance, um, you know, flying in inadequate or, unfamiliar terrain. So you're going to an area that you're not too familiar with, just kind of poor planning on that part, or poor improper operation of the flight controls. So all these can really are, right, all factors that can be are related to CFIT. And I chose to look up or read a little bit about, if I pronounce this right, Conviasa. It's a pretty much it's a Boeing 737, and they were ferrying it from one area to another. It was for to a new owner. It looked like it was operated by America, or I think it was American Airlines for a little bit, and Frontier Airlines uh, before, and now it was going to someone else. But essentially, they were shooting an ILS into the airport. The approach cleared them, descend down to about 13,000 feet. However, they were to perform the procedure turn for that approach, but they were only given, or they were supposed to stay within a designated area. If they went outside of that designated area, then they weren't guaranteed obstacle clearance. And as they were shooting this approach, they kind of strayed outside of this protected area of airspace, and uh, when they were cleared down to 13,000, when they had strayed off, they had actually, or their warning systems had gone off for around 20 seconds, and they were trying to avoid the terrain. However, it didn't work out too well for them. They ended up in the side of a mountain, or it was actually I believe it was a volcano, side of a volcano. So, but it was essentially it was the crew's, just lack of awareness as far as what was going on, and paying attention to where they were. But a little interesting about it. But it's very, very important how to use the resources that you have available to you. That goes into, your crew resource management, your single pilot resource management, right? Just because, right, even if you are just a single pilot, right, you can just use as much resources as possible, be constantly aware. Situation awareness is very, very big. But yeah.